Hey guys, um, welcome to another drive, another 14.2.2.4 drive. But this one is a bit different. Different because I just watched the Tesla earnings call and I did not understand what's happening with Tesla right now. And I just wanted to weigh in, share my thoughts, and maybe even debate this, hear you guys' opinions, what you guys think. But before that, we're gonna get driving. It's a rainy day today in Vancouver, Metro Vancouver. So I'm just gonna hit self-driving while I get into it. All I'm thinking about is like, what's Elon thinking right now? Like what's his thought process? What's wrong? So a bit of a context. Elon encourages the world to have kids, and that's been backed by science. Like, majority of the Western world is going to run into trouble in the next couple of years if we do not, up the ante with respect to having kids. For so many reasons. I like that. It takes a very conservative approach. I saw that car coming. We could have made it, but kind of waited for it. Nice, clean, fine. So as I'm debating this, I'm going to be, if I see things that happen that the car does really good, I'm going to speak to it like I always do. So, the Western world has a problem with aging population with yet lower birth rate. That's a debate for another day, because all of this also because of capitalism, how practically impossible it is for millennials, people my age, even most especially people younger than me, to even think about the idea of having their own kids. It's become almost impossible because of how expensive it has become and how overall impossible. But that's a debate on the other for a separate day. Elon encourages have kids. This is something that we should do. That's on one hand. On the other hand, they just scrapped Model S and Model X. Model X being the only true SUV that can accommodate a family of 6. Don't talk about Model Y, third row. They've scrapped it here. Even the Model YL that's being sold in the Chinese market, excuse me, I'll bet it has a bit more space, but it still doesn't compare to how much space you would get in a Model X. I agree it's more expensive. I would have loved to get a Model X, but it was way outside my budget, and so they're scrapping it. Why? A bunch of reasons. One, the sales are not as good, right? However, if you look at it in terms of numbers, the Model S still sold much more than a Cybertruck last year, yet they are not scrapping the Cybertruck. I know, those who defend Elon with their lives will come and tell me, yeah, the way the Cybertruck factory was built, it was built such that, they can interchange. If it's not producing Cybertrucks right now, it can produce something else. Whereas the assembly plants for the Model S and Model X were not designed that way. Valid. However, why scrap the entire lineup? Why not upgrade the systems in such a way that the Model S and X factories will be able to also produce other cars? So that quenches that debate. Secondly, about the number being sold. Obviously, S sold much more than Cybertrucks last year. Yet it's S and X that's been cancelled, not the Cybertruck. So Elon says we should have kids on one hand, but on the other hand, you are scrapping family cars that within your company, electric cars that your company produce, that caters to that need of that segment specifically. Make it make sense. It does not make sense. It doesn't. I'm not sure if this is recording. Okay, yes, it is recording. The light went off for a moment, and every now and then I'm like, I want to make sure like it's recording. So here's the thing. The push now, during that earnings call, it's obvious that Tesla is zoning in on the cybercar, robotaxi ambition. Here is where I think that is a problem. So it is estimated, according to the earnings call, this is what Elon has been sort of parroting around, that majority of trips, more than 90% of trips taken in cars are taken by 1 to 2 persons. Here is an evidence. I'm the only one in this car right now. Valid. But then I tell you, majority of persons buying cars are not buying it for the, you shouldn't do that. Someone is already on the light crossing, on the pedestrian crossing. Just wait. I don't know why people do this. Anyway, so I kind of get distracted when I see these things happen. I can't hold myself back. So Elon is saying 90 to 95, valid, right? This number of persons, majority. But then many of us buy cars not because of the 90 to 95% use case, But for that 10% use case when you will need it, I need to go on a trip, I need to go somewhere with my family, it doesn't make sense. So for instance, this car, I always have, what's it called, a car seat at the back. It's there always. Even when I need to go out with friends or something, if I'm picking up maybe 3 persons, 1 person sits here, 2 persons have to sit at the back, I get them to sit without me moving my child's car seat. Why? Because it takes time. Maybe it doesn't take as much time to unbuckle, but it takes time. Look at this guy again. Just look at it again. Impatient. This same person who went ahead and almost hit a, not almost hit a pedestrian, but then went over the line when the pedestrian was there already. Like, went over the solid. Like, why do people do this? We are all still just gonna be stuck here, towing in line. We can't go anywhere. Anyway, I keep getting distracted by all these side talks. So if I have friends coming in the car, if they can manage without me moving the car seat, I'll take that because it takes me time to install the car seat. So let's give a scenario. Family of 4. You've got 2, father, mother, 2 kids. 2 of them in, maybe 1 of them in a car seat like I have, 1 in a booster seat. You have to go out somewhere. You live in a city. The Robotaxi argument, yeah, hail a Robotaxi, it's going to be cheaper. But then you forget to factor in the time it's going to take to put in those cars to strap them in safely. Remember, safely, to strap them in safely and then, get going. Right now, I'm going to make 2 stops. 1 to my first destination where I want to show you guys something. I'm not going to spill it just yet. And then the second one to where I'm actually going. I'm going for a haircut. Now, if I have to, maybe we go to 2 destinations like that. When I get to the first destination, I unstrap my child, I bring out the car seat. Let's say we're going out on a date, going to a restaurant. I bring out the car seat. Imagine 10 families in a restaurant. The restaurant needs to have a place where you can keep car seats. Make it make sense. These are the use cases reasons why people buy cars. These are the reasons why people buy that kind of car that would fit a family. Now imagine someone buying a Model X is not buying it for a family of 4. It's like buying it for a family of 5 or 6. So imagine having 2, 3, 4 car seats and booster seats that you have to be lugging around. That's one side. Imagine having to go on a road trip. To go somewhere on a road trip with the kids, with the family. It does not make sense. The Robotaxi does not work in such instance. I genuinely am open to debate about this. I'm looking forward to your comments in the comment section. What do you guys think? What are some alternatives? I'm driving standard this afternoon. I'm not rushing anywhere. Just expressing my opinion. So that's why it's not moving as fast as I'm gonna bump it up a little bit because that's a bit too slow. I like to drive to traffic. You see, I understand the idea that like AI is the future and whatnot, but then why cancel something that works for something that you do not know the potential yet? Now, what I want to show you guys is about how difficult it is to solve, this is another argument, to solve completely unsupervised self-driving, and why a Robotaxi will probably not work in a long time, if it ever would, in rural areas, for instance, where there are not as much infrastructures, where the mapping data is not as good. Because even in places where the mapping data is good, so in those instances, that's exactly where you need to have your car. That's exactly where, I'm a planner by profession. So it's not like I am pro car or anything, not at all. Actually, if we want to truly solve this, we should be starting from fixing our cities and making them such that public transit is something that's easy for people to access. Like it is public transit accessible, right? Now, here that I'm going, that I wanted to show you, unfortunately, I might not be able to show you today because cars are parked there. So that day when I came, it attempted to come in here where it happens to be a dead end because it wanted to park me in this parking lot, right? And that is a problem. Why? Because this is actually not where the parking lot is for this establishment, And so those are some of the, I think. Now you see, I'm literally showing you a problem. It was supposed to go down there. This is where I'm going. I'm going, like, you see, Can you imagine a robotaxi doing this? Honestly, my point has been proven already. Can you imagine a robotaxi doing this? Now we have to go in a big loop. Anyway, I'm going to end this trip because that's not where I'm going. I'm going to go for a haircut. I'm going to let it reroute itself and do its thing. Now, imagine that was where I'm going, in a robotaxi, where I cannot control it or anything. We know right now it's not ready. And so why scrap like a full system that's already working, that's bringing in funds, that's bringing in revenue for something that's, something hoped for, that hasn't even been proven that it will work just yet. You see, now this car is taking us on an extra 7 minutes drive that we shouldn't even be doing. Why the argument about, a road taxi completely taking over and being able to do all these things? This is the point. Your car is not just something that takes from point A to B. It's what gives you predictability. I know I have my car, I can do this, I can plan around it. It's a storage. For instance, like this stuff that I use that has my filming gear and all of that lives in this car. I only take out the cameras so I can transfer the footage into my computer. Then I bring it back in the car. The car seat lives here. The stroller lives in the car. I have this stuff for because I have like this back pain every now and then. I have this stuff that lives here in the car. Imagine having to haul all of these into a cyber cab, into a robotaxi. It's not practical. A 2-seat robotaxi cannot replace that. So honestly, I legit want to hear, because so far what Elon said on earnings call does not make sense to me. And I think Tesla has stopped being a car company. This is my premise about this whole thing. Tesla has stopped being a car company. Maybe it never was. I know some persons will pick that out and say, yeah, it never was a car company. It's a tech or software company, trying to do car stuff. Now, my reaction might not have been as fast if I was the one in control. That was a good catch. Now, the argument that, oh yeah, we can focus on AI, developing Optimus and all of that, and still focus on building a really good car, that argument does not make sense as well. And I'll tell you why. Because Tesla is no longer a startup. It is an established system, which means it can run on simultaneous stuff. So why can't you still have the S and X running while you still build and develop your AI stuff? Why? If it is this hard to solve unsupervised driving, if it's this hard to solve the navigation problems of Tesla, like we just saw just now, literally just now, how much more difficult would it be for you to come up with a robot that would do my dishes, a robot that would do my laundry, a robot that would cut my hair? How difficult would that be? It's going to be much layers of difficulty. I was reading an article a couple of days ago about a research basically that shows the limitations of artificial intelligence, which has to do with limitations of computing. It's still some years away. So why dump a model that works for something that we don't even know? Like Tesla could have practically been like a dominant car company while building FSD in parallel. Like the idea that Tesla can only do one thing, as far as I'm concerned, it just isn't true. Now, what Elon is simply doing is giving up its position in the global market. And we can see it already. I think this will probably be a topic for another video, like what the Chinese are doing. I'm beginning to see a lot of stuff, but I think that would be good for a whole video. I'm like 4 minutes away from where I'm going. So what do you guys think? Like, does this even make sense to you? So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not saying, throw out the robotaxi idea like it doesn't make sense at all. No. I think robotaxis have their place. They would work in cities. They will work for individuals who are singles, just married couples and who do not have kids. They will work for occasional users. The same way, ride-hailing Ubers work for today. They would fill that niche. But car ownership is not going anywhere. Not in North America. It's not going anywhere. Especially for families. Car ownership is absolutely not going anywhere. You see, as humans, people don't want theoretical efficiency. They want something that actually works, especially when things get messy, especially when, in uncomfortable situations. They want systems that work. And Tesla does not need to abandon cars to be able to build this efficiency. Focusing on getting FSD completely unsupervised while building, the S and X is good enough already. And I think if you take away the fact that right now Tesla has absolute advantage in the North American market. If Chinese EVs are allowed in America, for instance, Tesla is going to die as a car company. I tell you, it's going to die as a car company because they are not competing. Part of the reasons, one thing I wanted to say earlier on, as part of the reasons why S and X, why people stopped buying them as much, was because those cars haven't seen an upgrade in 10 years, in like a decade. They haven't seen an upgrade. And I'm not talking, oh, just making them faster, adding a little bit and making it played and whatnot. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the cars actually working. The cars actually rebranding, and like every year, legacy auto manufacturers, they come up with like new designs for their new cars. Tesla has not done any of this for these cars. New better batteries. This is why BYD is like shining across the world right now, because they are thinking about innovation, how to increase the range, the efficiency. These are things that Tesla as a company should be focusing on, but they are not doing any of that. It's sad. It's unfortunate. Because as a fan, as a user, like, I love this company. I think it's a really good stuff, that works. But unfortunately, nah. These are like young kids. Well, they are hooked. They are hooked on stuff. Sad. I see it here all the time. So to kind of wrap this up, I legit want to hear you. I want to hear your opinion. Would you give up your personal car ownership for Robotaxis? Would you stop owning? Would you be fine not owning cars because they are Robotaxis? That's one. If you would give it up, if you are, I think there's a use case for it. It makes sense. If you do have a family, if you have kids, how would that work for you? Think about the scenarios I've kind of built out. Think about before you respond in the comment, think about your everyday scenario. How do you think that would work? I legit just want to hear your opinions. Let's debate it in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this video. And if you enjoy this kind of like thought-provoking ideas, thought-provoking conversations, debates, like I like to call them, hit me with a like. Please subscribe to the channel. Can you see that? That's the new Model Y. So subscribe to the channel as well. And I literally like to do all this kind of stuff. I enjoy having this kind of conversations. And if you do enjoy them too, leave me a comment in this comment section. And I will see you guys on the next one. Cheers. This is neat. I don't think I'll do it any better than this.